I'm awash in emotions right now. Yeah, it's strange. I've gone and done it. I bought a 2005 Maserati Quattroporte Neiman Marcus edition. So in 2004, Neiman Marcus decided, we'll make 60 special models and we'll put them in the Christmas catalog, and they are highly sought after, apparently. This was $125,000 when it was new, and I bought it in Las Vegas for $10,900, 8% of its original price. It only had 68,000, high 68,000. It's got 69 on it now. And here I am feeling the tech and what it was like in 2005 for the luxury approach. I've made the coolest buying decision ever or the worst. And this is not about finding the worst car ever and eviscerating it and telling you how terrible it is and why you should never buy one. Todd and I have been talking about big sedans. We've always talked about spending your money on a brand new car, or should you go buy a larger luxury, something that cost a lot of money when it was new, and then, you know, you're kind of in the same price category, but you're driving a much better car, theoretically. We've been talking about the Volkswagen Phaeton and the Maserati Quattroporte for a long time, and I will continue to eviscerate Maserati for their arrogance and simplicity in their naming convention. The four-door. What if any other manufacturer on the planet named their sedan the four-door? But in Italian, it sounds so beautiful. There's emotion attached. You have to say it from the heart. Quattroporte, Quattroporte, roll your R's. And suddenly it sounds beautiful and justifiable. Why would you choose this over the myriad of other luxury sedans you can buy in the market that theoretically are so much better? I am willing to bet a lot of money that the prior 5 owners of this car weren't expecting the emotion. They were expecting a Lexus-like insulate you from the road, just a fine driving experience. It rides fine, it drives fine, it's just a luxury car. And I'll bet you that's why they got rid of it. I've always kind of looked at this car thinking, how boring. Like, why would anybody buy this car? And there's so many people that love how this car looks, because you've got to look at it from a long-term standpoint. When you're designing a luxury, beautiful car, it's got to stand the test of time. I don't think that's what current Maseratis are doing. I don't like them. I've always teased Maserati that they're, you know, with the 3 portholes that don't really do anything. It's the Italian Buick. I mean, come on. My neighbor up the street when I was growing up had a Maserati biturbo. And me, as a kid, not knowing very much about cars, thought it was among the coolest cars ever. I mean, what is this crazy Trident logo? The pickle fork. What is this? And what is this car? And it's Italian, and you didn't see these cars. You saw, you know, Hondas and Jeeps. I grew up in Colorado, so there were very few exotic cars when I was growing up. And he had the biturbo, and I thought, that's the coolest thing ever. It says something about you. You're a man of character and taste, and who are you? Tell me about yourself. Of course, I didn't know what a pile of garbage it was at the time, but it sort of struck a chord with me. Maserati has been around since 1914. They have a long history, and they have a long racing history too, and I do love the beautiful cars of the 60s, especially the Maserati Birdcage. That is the car from the 60s, the Type 61, Tipo 61, that has a frame, a chassis that is so intricate with thin, beautiful tubing, it looks like a birdcage. This design, as staid and kind of boring, you look at this from the rear, it's pushed out wide. And the tumble home on the car makes it seem smaller than it is, but then you look at the length, it's actually quite beautiful. The car was designed by Ken Okayama. Ken is a very noted Japanese designer. He's designed a lot of your favorite cars, mine too. Ken went to Pininfarina. While he was there, he designed the 612, the Enzo, this car, and a whole bunch of other cars. And I'm seeing the 60s intake. I'm seeing that on the front. So the 60s race cars and the bubble headlights, those long, beautiful fenders, I'm seeing parts of those in this car. And then, you know, you want long lines, you want them to wrap. This car still looks really good. Okay, so you have to approach the Quattroporte as a wild idea. You want to drop a Ferrari engine into a 4-door sedan. Genuinely, this is a Ferrari-derived and Ferrari-built V8, 4.2-liter V8, making nearly 400 horsepower Now, the difference between the Ferrari build of this engine is the Ferrari has the flat plane crank in it, whereas Maserati and Alfa Romeo went with the cross plane crank. So, you know, kind of a normal V8. This is a different beast of a car. The 4.2 liter V8 with the cross plane crank has a Chevy rumble to it. It has a deep, throaty, angry, muscle car rumble to it. That's strange, but it's an Italian car, but it's supposed to, you know, it's like Chevy V8 up front with Italian music out the back. It's very strange. But what's also kind of cool is the position of that engine in the car. It's a 4,200 pound car. It is genuinely a front mid-engine car. The engine is entirely behind the front axle. All right, I'm in a section of freeway now that's posted 75 miles an hour. So I've got it 84, 85, all right? The engine is at 4,000 RPM, but it goes to 7,500 redline. I haven't taken it there yet, but hello, Nevada State Trooper. Be great if you stayed right there. Thank you. It's not made for an off-the-line car. People see the Maserati. Yeah, let's race that car. It's not good at that. But what it is good is giving you a different feeling about driving, and that's the unexpected thing. We've got to talk about handling. And so I've left Mesquite, Nevada this morning, and I'm driving that little corner of Arizona, you know, where it actually gets good and twisty. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm entering right now. The biggest thing about this car is how sensitive and delicate the inputs are. Again, very unexpected because of the placement of the engine. I mean, I'm feeling the length of the wheelbase and I'm feeling over-assisted steering. But when you punch sport mode, it uses what Maserati calls skyhook adaptive suspension. And when you're going through parking lots, over speed bumps, it is really soft. It's spongy and terrible. But then when you actually get on a road like this and you're at speed, it's actually quite great. Are we gonna get anything out of this? Do I get to punch the sport button? Okay, here we go, here we go. Sport. I see it. I see it. I get a little bit. Here we go. This is what this car was built for. This is precise and it's giving me a little bit of feedback. Not much because of the weight of the car, but I'm feeling rotation right through these corners. It's tasty. I like it. It's very much more driver involved than a lot of cars today. Honestly, a lot of modern cars aren't giving me this feel, especially in a sedan like this. Here's the takeaway for the handling. When you first come into a corner and you initially turn the wheel, there's a lot of cars that have to settle the weight to the outside and then you can feel the grip. This one turns. The rotation is there, the precision is there immediately. Now, it was built with a Duo Select F1 transmission, so that's actually sort of like the SMG that BMW used. It's a single clutch, robotically activated. Paddles connected to the steering column, not the wheel. So it's very Ferrari, it's very Italian in that sense. I do like paddles connected to the wheel, but I like these too. So when you're turning just a little bit, it gives you information at your fingertips of how far you've turned the wheel. The paddle's the stationary thing, and I'm just little inputs. It has the little tiny T lever down here, and it's, you know, robotic, it's hydraulically activated. So you put it in gear, you just push it forward. If you want reverse, you pull up on the handle and pull it back for reverse. The problem is, they apparently don't last very long. I'm hearing funny noises about this car. I'm not used to the sounds this car makes. Is something wrong with my car? I'm not sure. See, when you take your foot off the gas and it just sort of grinds and rumbles and... What is that? Is that gonna cost me a lot of money? I think most people want this car to burn down by the side of the highway and leave me stranded. But so far it hasn't. She's running great. I intended to buy this car to ask questions. That's why we have the Maserati. I'm not saying it will never give me problems. I'm kind of waiting for something to happen, to be honest. But what pushed me over the edge was the Carfax report. It came out pretty clean. The car's been serviced a lot. The oil looked good. It's had the serpentine belt replaced, even though it could probably use another one. I'm thinking just drive it. I'm surprised how well the seats feel. They're on the harder side, but that means the bolster isn't broken down at all, and it's really supportive. Everything still works on this car. The air bladders, the seat cooling, the seat heating. Yes, it had everything. I mean, this baby was loaded. What's, not so great is the Atari-like interface. It looks like it was developed by Atari from the 1980s. It's terrible. It's like, beep, beep. It's like Frogger on your nav screen. It's not very good. But that's all right. I don't care. I mean, I'm enjoying the materials. And in this car, they are appropriate. I'm not a fan of wood in anything. But in this car, I like it. Mahogany. Poltrona Frau leather. Oh, and mileage? Yeah. The original rating was 9 miles to the gallon. And I've barely gone, I'll say 30 miles. I'm just inside Utah. I'm at St. George. I left Mesquite. And the needle is on 3/4 of a tank. I've just been cruising. 13 combined. 13! Pickup trucks and SUVs nowadays get better mileage than that. Here's my headspace about this car. Yes, we have bought the Phaeton and the Quattroporte. The QP5, as all the cool kids on the forum say it. Maserati life. Maserati life. There have been many cars throughout its history that have failed due to reliability. As a matter of fact, the Birdcage Maserati didn't win at Le Mans because of reliability. And you could say across the board that's the case. But for a 15-year-old car, it's pretty tight. The chassis is pretty tight. It's exotic in a way. It's all those forgivable things that you've got to get past that make it an exotic, that make it the car that's not for everyone. I can't believe I own a Maserati. Things I never thought I'd say. Let's take the Maser. Yeah. You want to put your stuff in the Maser? Of all the cars I've owned and driven, this one is giving me the most anxiety I've ever experienced. I'm going to put as much maintenance as we can justify and afford into this. But ultimately, this car was bought with your money, and you know who contributed. You know if you did, so I'm thanking you publicly. This is your return on your investment. Thanks for contributing. Thanks for making this happen. I hope I've spent your money wisely, but so far from a driving perspective, it's pretty dang cool. I admit to you, I've got a soft spot going for the Maserati. Here at Everyday Driver, we're one of the longest running car shows on the web.
We are.
If you've been watching us since 2007, or you just discovered us last week, we are an independent channel and still producing original content.
Our TV show airs on the Motor Trend Network, but if you don't have cable, all the episodes can be streamed on Amazon Prime.
We host a top 10 automotive podcast called The Car Debate, with about 400 episodes and new ones airing every Tuesday and Friday. So if you've got a question or need a car, our podcast can help you.
Here on YouTube, the Fast Blasts are still here. They're going to become a little simpler, more like a video podcast, actually, mixed with a new car review.
We'll still make well-produced single car reviews of enthusiast cars. Plus, we're adding Champs doing classics, Nate doing motorcycles, and we're even doing the occasional mountain bike review.
And if that's not enough, we do have 5 feature films, including one-of-a-kind generational comparisons of the Corvette, the 911, and the M3.
Plus, we host meetups, track days, and even a trip to the Ring and Spa.
We do all of that. So thanks for watching, listening, sharing. There's lots more to come.